All right. Hare Krishna, Sanjati, Hare Krishna, Kaushik Prabhu. Thank you so much for joining. We are reading from the Bhagavad Gita as it is. We are reading the fourth chapter, which is entitled Transcendental Knowledge. Yesterday, we discussed two verses, which were verse number 13 and 14, where verse number 13 talked about how Krishna tells Arjuna that how he has created the four divisions of humans society and how people in different divisions are categorized based on their desire, based on their activities and their desires and the qualities that they have developed. So Krishna tells Arjuna that I have created this entire facility for you. And then in the next verse, Krishna talks about that how he has no desire to enjoy all of this, that there is nothing that contaminates him. He does not desire the fruits of these actions, any of these actions. Like, even if Krishna appears in this world, he is not bound by the laws of this world. And one who understands this truth about Krishna, he becomes free, he frees himself from all kinds of free actions. So that is what we discussed yesterday. And now moving on to today's verses. Uh, does anyone want to add anything from whatever we discussed yesterday, or has any questions, comments, concerns?
No, Prabhu.
Okay. Uh, Sanjuti, would you like to read?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Yes.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Ebam জ্ঞাত কৃতং কর্ম পূর্বৈরপি মুমুক্ষুভিঃ গুরু কর্মে এব তস্মাৎ তং পূর্বে পূর্বতরং কৃতম. Translation: All the liberated souls in ancient times acted with this understanding of my transcendental nature. Therefore, you should perform your duty following in their footsteps. Purport: There are two classes of men. Some of them are full of polluted material things within their hearts, and some of them are materially free. Krishna consciousness is equally beneficial for both of these persons. Those who are full of dirty things can take to the line of Krishna consciousness for a gradual cleansing process, following the regulative principles of devotional service. Those who are already cleansed of the impurities may continue to act in the same Krishna consciousness too, so that others may follow their exemplary activities and thereby be benefited. Foolish persons or neophytes in Krishna consciousness often want to retire from activities without having knowledge of Krishna consciousness. Arjuna's desire to retire from activities on the battlefield was not approved by the Lord. One need only know how to act. To retire from the activities of Krishna consciousness and to sit aloof making a show of con- uh, Krishna consciousness is less important than actually engaging in the field of activities for the sake of Krishna. Arjuna is here advised to act in Krishna consciousness, following in the footsteps of the Lord's previous disciples, such as the sun god Vivashan, as mentioned herein before. The Supreme Lord knows all his past activities, as well as those of persons who acted in Krishna consciousness in the past. Therefore, he recommends the acts of the sun god who learned this art from the Lord some millions of years before. All such students of Lord Krishna are mentioned here as past liberated persons engaged in the discharge of duties allotted by Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Sanjuti. So, uh, this verse is again reiterating on the same point that we have discussed many times till now, that how Krishna is telling Arjuna that it is very important that you perform your duty. And now Krishna is also giving two aspects to this. He says that how you are supposed to perform with an understanding of my transcendental nature. If we've discussed this even in the past, that this chapter is entitled Transcendental Knowledge, where Krishna is giving knowledge, the transcendental knowledge in which one is to perform one's duty and how one is to do this. And now Krishna is saying that all liberated souls in the ancient times acted with this understanding. So, this is like giving Arjuna a foolproof method. He's saying that this is a time tested thing. From the time of the sun god Vivaswan, And we've discussed how that knowledge was given to the Manu and then to King Ikshwaku and so on, how this knowledge has been passed down. So Krishna is telling Arjuna that this knowledge and this method of practice is time tested. Uh, like whenever a medicine is first released out, I was just thinking when I read this purport, I was remembering this example. And whenever a medicine is released out, one of the important criteria they would write is like how they conducted tests and how many positive cases are there. That gives us faith in that entire process. Even though we should have complete faith, because Krishna, who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is saying, he's still validating his statements by saying that all liberated souls in ancient times have acted with this understanding of my transcendental nature. And then the purport goes on to discuss this very beautifully, that there are how Krishna consciousness is beneficial for everyone. It is not that it is only useful for someone who is perfected in life, or it is necessary only for someone who is yet in this process of progressing in their spiritual life because of whatever uh, bad qualities that we have that stop our growth. That is also taken care when we practice Krishna consciousness, because when we are practicing Krishna consciousness, we end up following regulative principles of devotional service, which help in this cleansing. And for those who have cleansed this and have who have perfected their practice of Krishna consciousness, they are benefited. They are also supposed to continue practicing because they set an example by their activities, and they show others how they are supposed to act. So, as we will discuss even in the next purport, where Krishna tells Arjuna about how there are so many people who have perfected their life, and he gives a number of examples as part of the next purport, we will see how all of them come from different uh, categories of life. Like you can see, they come from separate occupational duties, and yet all of them, by practicing this, their duties, by following their duties with the remembrance of this transcendental knowledge, have perfected. I hope this makes some sense. uh, if anyone has any questions or any comments, please feel free to add. All right, moving on. um, Kaushik Prabhu, will you be able to read?
Yeah, yes, bro. किं कर्म किमकर्मेति कवयोऽप्यत्र मोहिता तत्ते कर्म प्रवक्ष्यामि यज्ञात्वा मोक्षसे शुभात्. Translation. Even the intelligent are bewildered in determining what is action and what is inaction. Now I shall explain to you what action is, knowing which you shall be liberated from all misfortune. Purport. Action in Krishna consciousness has to be executed in accord with the examples of previous bona fide devotees. This is recommended in the 15th verse. Why such action should not be independent will be explained in the text to follow. To act in Krishna consciousness, one has to follow the leadership of authorized persons who are in a line of disciplic succession, as explained in the beginning of this chapter. The system of Krishna consciousness was first narrated to the sun god. The sun god explained it to his son Manu. Manu explained it to his son Ikshvaku, and the system is current on this earth from that very remote time. Therefore, one has to follow in the footsteps of previous authorities in the line of disciplic succession. Otherwise, even the most intelligent men will be bewildered regarding the standard actions of Krishna consciousness. For this reason, the Lord decided to instruct Arjuna in Krishna consciousness directly. Because of the direct instruction of the Lord to Arjuna, anyone who follows in the footsteps of Arjuna is certainly not bewildered. It is said that one cannot ascertain the ways of religion simply by imperfect experimental knowledge. Actually, the principles of religion can only be laid down by the Lord Himself. Dharmam tu sakshat bhagavat pranitam. No one can manufacture a religious principle by imperfect speculation. One must follow in the footsteps of great authorities like Brahma, Shiva, Narada, Manu, the Kumaras, Kapila, Prahlada, Bhishma, Shukadev Goswami, Yamaraj, Janaka, and Bali Maharaj. By mental speculation, one cannot ascertain what is religion or self realization. Therefore, out of causeless mercy to his devotees, the Lord explains directly to Arjuna what action is and what inaction is. Only action performed in Krishna consciousness can deliver a person from the entanglement of material existence.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Uh, I'll just highlight a few points from this. I already discussed some parts of this in the previous, as part of a discussion of the previous verse. So now Krishna is telling Arjuna, because in the previous verse, Krishna told Arjuna that you still have to perform your actions while remembering and understanding this transcendental knowledge. So now Krishna is telling Arjuna that even the intelligent are bewildered in determining what is action and what is inaction. One very important thing to understand over here is action over here means action that has some reactions, and inaction means not not performing actions, but inaction here means that actions that do not produce any reactions. So now, action in Krishna consciousness, it is said that we are supposed to be executing these actions in the way the previous bona fide devotees of the Lord have been performing. And that is being taught to us by the various disciplic succession. And that's why Krishna is now telling that now I'm teaching this again to Arjuna, because he wants to give it a very, very foolproof understanding of how you're supposed to practice this knowledge. It is not just that you have this knowledge, but also teaching Arjuna by giving him the complete guide rails to understand how he's supposed to practice this knowledge. And that's uh, so as I told in the last, as part of the discussion of the last verse, that this verse gives us examples of various devotees who have perfected their life by performing these actions in the transcendental knowledge, by remembering Krishna throughout their lives. So that's why Krishna is saying that out of his causeless mercy for his devotees, the Lord explains to Arjuna again what this action and what inaction is. And therefore, we are supposed to learn from all these verses how we are supposed to perform these actions in Krishna consciousness. So that will help us get liberated from all misfortune. Uh, we have some time, so we can read one more verse. Before moving on, does anyone has any question?
Yes. So, in this verse, it is stated that uh, one has to perform the Nishkam karma. Is this the meaning of this verse?
Uh, yes. So yeah, Krishna is now telling Arjuna that. So actually, if we go through Acharya's commentaries or the bona fide commentators on the Bhagavad Gita, they say that this verse is again the starting point of where it was left as part of the third chapter, where the discussion was going towards uh, about the how some actions lead to positive reactions, some lead to negative reaction, and some actions lead to no reactions. And that which the actions which lead to no reactions is called Nishkam Karma Yoga, where you do not where you are not bound by any reactions. So this is where again it gets connected, because at that point Arjuna asked Krishna a question that why do we sin? And then Krishna gave the example and understanding of because of having lusty desires, and we have a strong mentality of enjoying independently. And that's why even after understanding everything that we have read, still we end up performing actions that feel that somehow feel like beyond our control. So this is where it segues again into the same discussion, and that's why yes, what you're saying is right. Krishna is now going to explain about all of these things in greater depth as part of the in the remainder of the chapter.
Thank you.
Does that answer your question?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay. So we can go ahead. Let me just see. Okay, this is a short verse. Sanjuti, do you want to read?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah.
বুদ্ধবং বুদ্ধব্যাঞ্চ বিকর্মণ অকর্মণশ্চ বুদ্ধবং গহনা কর্মণ গতি. Translation: The intricacies of action are very hard to understand. Therefore, one should know properly what action is, what forbidden action is, and what inaction is. Purport: If one is serious about liberation from material bondage, one has to understand the distinctions between action, inaction, and unauthorized actions. One has to apply oneself to such an analysis of action, reaction, and perverted actions because it is a very difficult subject matter. To understand the Krishna consciousness and action according to its modes, One has to learn one's relationship with the Supreme. Example, one has who has learned perfectly knows that every living entity is an eternal servitor of the Lord, and that consequently one has to act in Krishna consciousness. The entire Bhagavad Gita is directed toward this conclusion. Any other conclusions against this consciousness and its attendant actions are bikarmas or prohibited actions. To understand all this, one has to associate with authorities in Krishna consciousness and learn the secret from them. This is as good as learning from the Lord directly. Otherwise, even the most intelligent persons will be bewildered.
Yeah, thank you, Sanjuti. So now Krishna is telling Arjuna that the intricacies of action are very hard to understand. Why is Krishna saying this? Because we have discussed this so many times. It is so difficult to understand that why a particular reaction is coming to me. You must have heard people say so many times that why do bad things happen to good people, or why do good things happen to bad people, or either ways. Because this is very difficult to understand the intricacies of action, to understand how this whole karma theory works. It's very, very convoluted. It's very difficult. We don't know which action in the past we are getting a reaction for right now, and how that reaction is getting delivered to us. So this is very hard to understand. Therefore, now Krishna is trying to explain Arjuna that what is action, in the sense that what are the actions that will give you positive or good reactions, what is forbidden actions or actions that give you bad reactions, and what is inaction, meaning action that will not give you any reaction. And Krishna tells Arjuna that we need to perform these inactions or actions which do not give you reactions. Inaction, again, I want to repeat that inaction does not mean not performing action. It means performing actions in a way that does not bind you in this world. So that is what Krishna is trying to say, and that is what is highlighted as part of this purport as well. That one has to learn, one has learned perfectly that every living entity is a servitor of the Lord, and that consequently he has to act in Krishna consciousness. That is the whole sum and substance of the Bhagavad Gita. So, yeah, we are 2 minutes over time. I will just pause over here. Uh, If anyone wants to add anything or any questions, any comments, uh, please feel free to add. All right, then. Thank you, everyone, for joining. I hope I'll see you again tomorrow. We will continue this discussion into what is this action, inaction, and how Krishna explains it further to Arjuna. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.